Behind you.
Hi, I'm just waiting for Shrikant to join and then we'll start the session. Shrikant, I cannot see your name.
आगे पहले वाला.
Hi, I'm so excited to see you.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Great. First of all, happy Friendship Day to you, Shrikant,
Thank you.
and everyone
I
else.
wish you the same.
Okay, so let's start the show. Okay, welcome
Hello.
everyone to
Yeah, I
the
can hear
Insta
you.
Live of Let's Friends with Nature. And today on this show, there can be no one else other than Shrikant who can tell us how to be friends with nature. Okay, so I am Ankita from NutriTales and would invite everyone to the show. Okay, let me introduce myself and then we'll start the show. So my journey of health started like an year back when I went to Kerala to study Ayurveda. And I've met many people, I've came across many people, but never came across someone like Shrikant, who has taken such a big step towards living close to so nature. And over to you, Shrikant. Tell us, how did it all started?
Thank you so much, Ankita. Hello, everyone. This is Shrikant RG, and here we are for a nice session on Insta Live on NutriTales, and the subject of discussion is going to be, you know, chemical-free living and medicine-free healing. This is it's a big topic to discuss, but then in this subject, we're going to discuss a small topic, how to make friends with nature. So since today is Friendship Day, so we have a lot of friends with us. So I hope we're going to benefit from this session by making friends with the nature. Right, so to start with, I mean, this is going to be about 30 minutes to 40-minute session. It's going to be a very teeny-weeny small session. And this will help, have a basic understanding on how we are traveling in the nature. How are we making friends with the nature? Are we still friends with the nature? I mean, that's $1 million question. So how is that we are going to maintain that relationship with the nature? Now, ever since we were born, we are being nurtured by our parents. We've been taken care of by people around us, and a lot of things are said to us. A lot of things, we get into contact with a lot of things around us. And again, you have education. We get educated, with a lot of information, and then we become judgmental about things around us. Now, that's how we learn to grow up. I mean, and we grew up learning all these things, So when we started off in school, in the nature, when we talk about nature in school, we learn a lot of things about nature. We have a clear understanding about how nature functions. And we grow up to be adults, and we have relationships like friendship, a married relationship with our siblings, fathers, mothers, grandparents, right? And when all of these things are there, when we are in a relationship, and we travel with this relationship towards a direction of our aspirations at that point of time, we tend to do things which are against nature. Now, if you look at when we talk about nature, what do we know about nature? So we have lovely trees like these. Okay, so the tree gives us fruit, isn't it?
Right.
Isn't it? Yeah, so the tree gives us fruit. The cow gives us milk. The hen gives us egg. The sheep gives us wool, and so on. And everything is a part of nature. So we are in the nature, and our job is very simple. We have to experience the aspects, the beautiful aspects of nature, isn't it? Now, if we look back and understand, now this is how we have an understanding about the nature, that the tree gives us fruit. Really? Does the tree give us fruit? No, we pluck it from the tree, isn't it? Does the cow give us milk? No. We tie the calf right in front of the cow, deceive the cow, and steal the milk from behind. Right? And the hen definitely does not lay an egg for us. It lays an egg so that it propagates, it reproduces. It can create, chicks, and thereby, the life has to go on. And the wool on the sheep is to cover itself from extreme weather conditions. We shave the wool off from the sheep and we use it for ourselves, isn't it? How nicely we've learned things in school, isn't it? How nicely those things are put up right from kindergarten. These thoughts were seeded in our mind, saying that, the tree gives us fruit, the cow gives us milk, the hen lays the egg, the sheep gives us wool, and, all of those things. And we begin to think that, we are, super conscious individuals, and our job is to just make use of what is there in the nature. Definitely not, because these are beings, living beings. And we are not supposed to pluck fruit from the tree and eat. I mean, if you look at our ancestors, the way they had, their food habits, they just picked up fruit which were fallen on the ground, the ripened fruit, and they just picked up ripened fruit and they just ate it. That's it. So they didn't, climb a tree because, at that point of time, they had a vertebral column which was like, slightly bent, and they used to just pick up fruit and they used to consume. After some time, when the food was scarce at some point of time, they started climbing the tree, and they were being hunted by predators, so they had to run for their life. So when they climbed the trees, slowly through the genetical modification, the hunch, became straight. The spinal cord, the vertebral column became vertical. And man is the only living being on earth who's got a vertebral column, who's aligned with the cosmos, the cosmic energy. And that's how he becomes a thinking individual. And these thoughts would manifest in actions because he would like to do something better for himself. He thought that he would do better for his brethren. So that's where, the families, the societies have evolved. So he started doing things for the society, for people, because he wanted to live in comfort. And then the greed factor grew up more. He started thinking on those lines that he would like to establish control on people, control on societies, right? Now here we are, the evolution brought us so far. We've traveled much far, isn't it? So today the topic, let's be friends with the nature. How do we make friends with the nature? Now, if you look back and see our own lives, I would like to talk to you about myself. I was born and raised in Hyderabad, grew up there, worked there for quite some time, and then moved on to Bangalore in search of better opportunities. Right? So Bangalore was a developed city by then, even now. Now, what do we call development? A lot of industries are established. A lot of IT, different industries. In Bangalore, you have IT, you have garments, you have, chemical industries. You have many more industries like these. You have food industry, big, one of the biggest industries in Bangalore. So you have different industries, and in the name of development. Now, what do you call development? Chopping the trees, laying roads, constructing big communities, apartment communities, where you have this, 70-30% ratio where 70% you leave it for the nature, so-called nature. That's just a lush green grass out there with some trees. Okay. Now that's called nature there, and some biodiversity. And 30% of the land is allocated for construction. Yes. That's what is nature, according to, the real estate industry today. So they destroy all the cultivated lands and they erect big, massive buildings, mega structures. Now, is this development? Definitely not. That is destruction. You're destroying the nature. You're cutting trees. You're filling the ponds and lakes with debris, and you're erecting massive structures. That's definitely not development. That's definitely destruction, isn't it? So we've got our, definition for development absolutely wrong. A city is getting developed. A town is getting developed. A village is getting developed. A layout is getting developed. That is not development. That is destruction. You're destroying the elements of nature, and in the name of, destroying that, you in the name of development, you're destroying. So that's absolute destruction. So how do we make friends with the nature? It has to start from the cradle, because there's a saying that, habits mold in the cradle, last to the grave. So what are we doing in the cradle? When my son was born, and eventually I got sold to this idea. When my son was born, we thought we'll give him the best, because every new parent would want to give their child the best. Absolute best, because whether they got the best or not, they would ensure that their child get the best of the opportunities, the best of food, the best of clothing, the best of everything, right? So in the same way, I was a father. And I thought I'm going to give my child the best. So we were living nearby a village where he was, feeding. He was being breastfed by my wife. After some time, there was a time that, we wanted to switch over to cow's milk. Why? Because when my wife was pregnant, she consumed milk from that cow. There was only one cow from which we used to consume milk. We never used to buy packet milk and packed milk and stuff like that. So we were doctrined in our mind that, milk has got calcium, milk has got proteins, milk has got all the essential nutrients that is required. And when my wife was pregnant, she took this milk. And once my child was born, after 3 to 6 months, we started feeding him in this bottle. Now, what did we do? So my wife used to work at that point of time. So when I used to go out for work, sometimes my wife had to go somewhere out. So it was one such Saturday when I was busy, working on something on my laptop. My wife was away. My in-laws were there at home, and my child started crying. Now, we did not have milk at home. We didn't buy, and I was dead against, feeding the packed milk to my child. So my mother-in-law was saying, she asked me whether she can, give him some packed milk. I said strictly no. Then after some time, she thought that, she's going to pacify the baby. She carried him and she went outside. And after a while, she came back. Then I asked her, how come he's silent? She said, no, I took him to a neighbor's place where there is a mother there. Okay, she's also a lactating mother. And she pacified him by breastfeeding my child. So I got furious. I got furious. I couldn't take it. How can you take my child and be breastfed by another mother? So there was an issue at home. So we cut the scene there. Okay. Today, the same thing we talk about, when we talk, when we ask questions about, why should we consume milk, or why shouldn't we consume milk? Milk is bad, isn't it? Now, when we are not, when we don't accept milk from the same species, human species, how is it possible that we accept milk from a different species? Isn't it? And right from the cradle, right from birth, what are we doing to a child? We give them pacifiers. And what are these pacifiers made up of? Silicones, a kind of plastic, some kind of synthetic material, which is coated with bisphenol A. Absolutely bad, that gets leached into the baby's mouth and eventually travels inside. And, the first thing what it does, it spoils the baby's endocrine system. Like you have a central nervous system, you have a enteric nervous system, right? So it'll spoil that, it'll spoil the gut. So we are making baby unhealthy by giving them pacifiers. Just to make them, stop crying, we give them pacifiers. That's absolutely bad. And once the baby grows a little older, a couple of months, then we introduce, bottled milk. And how are we giving them? We're giving them in plastic bottles, again, made up of plastic. And we serve them hot milk in plastic bottles, allow it to cool down a while, and then pour it in that bottle, and then we give them. But we don't give them cold milk. We just give them a warm milk. Still, what's happening? The chemical bond, which is responsible to bind those chemicals together in the plastic container, the bond is broken, and the chemicals are released. They are released in the food. They are released in the milk, what you give in the bottle. And they are fed to the baby. Now, I did that. I did that to my son. Today, I realize the damage done is done. We can't repair those damage. But yes, if you, the alternative, the solution is if we keep ourselves away from these chemicals, automatically the body would flush out all those toxins, which has been accumulated. Because these chemicals like bisphenol A, phthalates, which are released from these plastic material, they are stored in our fat cells. We have a lot of cells, right? Trillions and trillions of cells. So you have fat cells. So these chemicals are stored in fat cells. So it's stored in our fat. So wherever we have fat, these chemicals are properly stored. And they are carcinogenic. They are responsible, to create issues, a lot of health issues in our body. So we have to avoid, giving milk in milk bottles. If you think, if you look around, only in India we don't have, the hygienic practices. The bottle is not washed well. The bottles are not sterilized well. And I'm talking about those plastic bottles. When you wash it, how do you wash it? You sterilize in hot water. Now, every time you sterilize a milk bottle in hot water, what does happen? The same thing. The chemicals are released. The bonds are broken. The chemicals are released, and those will get leached into the milk. So every time, in the name of sterilization, you keep washing the milk bottle. We are putting the baby's life more at risk. We are feeding more carcinogenic chemicals inside the baby. We are spoiling the baby's endocrine system by doing that. Are we friends with the nature? Certainly not. Right?
So,
we are not making. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to ask, these days doctors suggest mothers to give them cow milk. So what alternative we can do instead of cow milk?
See, today, when I talk about doctors, I know certain pediatricians, because I worked in a couple of healthcare companies, industry, corporate hospitals. I worked with two different corporate hospitals in my career, towards the end of my career, because those were some responsibilities that I've taken. I've headed one of those hospitals as vice president, marketing and operations. And one hospital I was working there as a director in the other hospital. So I understood the healthcare industry quite well. And I had made friends with many doctors. And I have doctors who studied with me in my school. I have some doctors whom I know who are from my locality where I grew up. And a couple of them are pediatricians who are settled now in the US. And they tell me, Shrikant, we've banned these plastic bottles in the US.
Wow.
There are some plastic bottles which are available, which are marketed in the name of BPA-free plastic bottles, and those are disposable bottles. They are just one-time use. And if you look at young parents, how are they using plastic bottles? Are they single-use bottles? Absolutely not. They reuse the bottle. I'm not saying you got to buy. You shouldn't buy the bottles at the first place, because the most eco-friendly product that you could ever see in your life is that product which you haven't bought in your lifetime. That becomes an eco-friendly product. At the same time, these plastic containers are hazardous. They don't do any good. They do more bad than good. But yet we are accustomed to more plastic. It starts out from those feeding bottles. But ideally, the alternative for this feeding bottle could be in Tamil we call paladai. Paladai is it's a little cup which looks like an Aladdin lamp without the upper lid. In Telugu it is called as Uggu Ginne, and in Bengali it is called as Jhinuk, and in Hindi it is called as Bondla, a small Bondla. What is it? It's made up of brass or some material, bronze material or some steel material. It's like a small cup with a which looks like an Aladdin lamp, where you pour some milk there and you administer it to the baby. Breast milk is the best milk. Coming to your question, breast milk is the best milk. And if we know today is Friendship Day, and starting yesterday, that is from 1st of August till 7th of August, the entire week is called as Breastfeeding Week. It's World Breast Milk Week or something like that. Breastfeeding Week. It's observed for mothers who breastfeed their children. Now, a question is how long to breastfeed a child? I mean, there are a lot of studies there to tell us, you can breastfeed a child until 3 years, until 5 years, until 8 years. There's a lot of theories. I'm not saying whether we should go by those theories, but ideally, if you look at today, how many of them are, breastfeeding their children? For how long are they?
I think just for 6 months.
Yeah, 3 months also, right? So they stop.
And some are not even able to do that.
Yeah. See, our body, our human body is a brilliant system. It's built. It's got a brilliant mechanism. We might look that skinny or slim, but we have enough capacity to produce so much milk for our children. Definitely.
What about
we think that
what about
we stop
plant-based
lactating.
milk?
Sorry.
What about plant-based milk?
Sorry?
Can we give to this? Can we give
Plant-based milk
plant-based
is
to
only an
toddlers?
alternative if the mother is not lactating.
No, I mean
Because
after
today-
breast milk.
No, after breast milk, why do you need plant-based milk?
Like after a period of 6
Plant-based milk
months.
is only
to
an
7
alternative for those people who are addicted to milk, right? Plant-based milk is only for those who are addicted to the cow milk. So now someone has a urge to consume milk, just plain white milk, add some sugar, jaggery, and drink them. And now, if you wanted to give them knowledge on, cow milk is not good for you. It contains a protein, a complex protein called casein, which cannot be digested, and you don't have the enzyme or the kind of the enzyme which can break down that protein. So instead of drinking that milk, because you have got into a habit of drinking that milk, right? So you need a replacement. Instead of that milk, I'll better have this milk. So you advise nut milk for that kind of people who wanted to who are addicted to milk. But absolutely, milk is irreplaceable. So until infancy, until a certain time, you can administer breast milk, and breast milk is very important. It's packed with so much nutrition, and the first 3 days, when the mother is lactating, she releases colostrum, and that contains growth hormones, very essential for the baby. It builds the body immunity. Where does the immunity come from for babies? It comes from breast milk only. There cannot be any other alternative milk for breast milk.
Breast milk.
It cannot
Yeah,
be.
right.
There is absolute no replacement. It is gold. it is, is gold for the baby. It's precious. It builds the immunity system. It'll help in building the bones, building the body and everything. And what are we going to give in the feeding bottles? Plastic. And after administering the milk, we start the formula, food for the child. And in what are we feeding them in? Plastic, melamine containers, right? So we have a lot of companies which are, ending with the word ware, W-A-R-E. Many companies, they end with ware. They sell plastic. Okay, they say, this is safe. This is a safe plastic. Obviously, it is safe plastic. You will find a lot of microwave safe plastic containers, right? Which means the plastic container is microwave safe. But the food in those containers are not safe. You get my point?
Exactly.
So see how, organizations are tweaking with their words, making us believe, this is a microwave safe bowl, microwave safe container. Yes, true. When you put it in a microwave, it doesn't melt. So it becomes microwave safe. But when you put food in there, what happens in a microwave? There's heat, right? So what does heat do
There's
to plastic?
radiation.
Yeah, it'll break the bond, and it'll start releasing the chemicals, and the chemicals are leached. And what are we sending food? In what are we sending food for kids in school? Those are small plastic snack boxes, small plastic lunch boxes, and we wrap these parathas and rotis nicely in that aluminium foil so that it stays soft, isn't it? What are we doing to our children? In the name of giving them the best, we are giving them the worst.
Exactly.
Isn't it? And we are sending water bottles, sippers. There's nice fancy sippers and water bottles. And where are they drinking water from? They're just drinking water from plastic containers. And what is the alternative for that? Absolutely nothing available. There might be some steel containers available in the market, but steel also, will, slightly cause an issue, but mostly neutral. Yeah, steel water bottles. But when you serve water in a plastic bottle, what happens? When a bottle is packed with water, it takes 3 hours for the chemicals to leach into the water from the time the bottle is packed. Either it's a ware kind of a bottle, branded bottle, or it's a regular, disposable bottle. The moment you store water or any food item, it takes 3 hours for the food to start leaching in. And let's say you have work you have work and you packed your lunch box, supposed to be a plastic box, right? And you go to work. You leave home, you pack your lunch box by 7:30 a.m. and you leave for work. You go to work. What's your lunch time? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 hours it stays in your lunch box. What happens to you? See, a lot of issues are cropping up because of this, right? And not only lunch boxes, if you look at the packaged food stuff that we buy from a supermarket, like, the milk packets, the milk bottles, the Tetra packs, the juices, what we buy, so-called, we are more health conscious. We buy canned food, canned drinks, that canner, this canner, those, it's fresh pulp, no sugar added, pure juice, all of that canned stuff. So we buy everything from the supermarket. We buy oil nicely packed in a pouch. We buy milk packed in a pouch, right? We buy water packed in, plastic containers. Everything is plastic. Earlier, when I was going to school, when my mother used to ask me to buy sugar or pulses or gram or grains, I used to go to this shop with a big bag, and he used to pack it in a brown cover, and he used to tape it with a brown, a paper, which is dipped in gum, and give it to us. So we used to get those home. So they were like eco-friendly. They were natural. But today, if you go to a supermarket, everything and anything, even if you buy organic stuff, comes in nicely packed in a plastic pouch, plastic container. You go for a cold pressed sesame oil, a cold pressed groundnut oil, or cold pressed, coconut oil. They are packed nicely in a plastic container these days. There are some who pack it in a glass bottles, and they are doing a commendable job. And there are some stores in Bangalore where you can go and you can just, dispense as much. You can take your containers with you, dispense as much pulses as you want, and you're just built for those. And they don't give you any packing material. There are some really good stores which have come up with alternatives, but
That's
how
a
many of
better.
us are willing to go there, trying to carry our own stuff? So everything is plastic, including the dosa, what you eat. Where do you pour your dosa? On a nice Teflon pan, non-stick pan, or a non-stick tawa. You use a non-stick kadai for making your bhajis and your stews and your kurmas and all of your dals, non-stick, which is coated with Teflon. Earlier, our forefathers were using, clay pots for cooking. And then they discovered that, clay pots, you may have to, throw them in 6 months or a year, because you have to keep on changing the clay pots, because the pores will get accumulated, blocked by these food particles, because these clay pots, they breathe, right? So it's porous in nature. So then they found out a better method of, cooking. So they found out, there's one particular rock where they could carve it into a bowl, like, soapstone. They use the soapstone, and it is packed with a lot of minerals. When you get it, it's pretty heavy, it's delicate. And those days they used delicate utensils. Even if they have to draw water from a well, they used to use delicate utensils. They used to draw water from the river, nearby river or a well, and they used to get it in clay pots. See, the handling, the container is delicate, because if the clay pot, falls on the ground, right, it breaks. So, which means you have to handle it with a little bit of delicacy. You have to be a little careful. So people very, very careful in their actions. So also they were careful with their words as well, because they used delicate containers those days. Now, slightest of carelessness would result in the clay pot breaking. So when that got their, that part, got into their relationships, that part got into their lifestyle. So when they handled these clay pots with lot of care, they spoke to people with lot of care. They were involved in relationships with lot of care. Today, we drop a plastic bottle, it doesn't break, unbreakable, right? Our words are unbreakable. Our relationships, So we don't administer any care. We handle our relationships the way we handle plastic bottles, so careless. We handle ourselves careless, just the way we handle these plastic bottles. We fill a bubble top can with water, 20 liters, we throw. If you see how they are loaded in the trucks, how they are loaded in the retail stores, how they are loaded in our, Activa or Scooty, and how are they brought it home. They're just careless, they're a little negligent. So our, words, when we talk to people, we handle people so carelessly. We handle our relationships so carelessly. It just shows up in our nature. So how can we make friends with nature with these kind of habits, So those days, our grandparents, they used clay pots. They handled it with care. Their words were full of care. Their relationships were very careful. They handled their relationships very careful. And so were these soapstones. Even these soapstones are very soft kind of stones. They are susceptible to breakage. Right? So they cooked food in those. So those contain a lot of minerals, and the minerals would get inside the food, and our body gets the required nutrition from those vessels. And thereby they found out, they started extracting metals from earth, as in when, the conscious level evolved, they started extracting zinc, copper, iron, and they started making utensils. They are all earthen materials. But yes, the first preference goes to clay pot, because we are from the soil. We are made. हम मिट्टी से आए हैं, वापस मिट्टी में चले जाएंगे, isn't it? So we've come from the soil. We are going back to the soil. So what we are using is something which is made from the, soil, clay soil. That's it. So that's the best. The first preference what you can give is clay pot. Now there are
But
organizations, they are making, bottles in, out of clay. Now, if you don't have clay, you can use ceramic or glass. Now there are
what
many
about
social
steel?
scientists,
What
when
about
we talk
stainless
about,
steel?
sorry,
What about
I'm
stainless
sorry.
steel?
Stainless steel is to a certain extent, yes, fine, acceptable, uh, you know, okay, that's okay. But if
Because
you want
everything is not
the real
possible
goodness,
in clay pots.
sorry,
Because everything
sorry,
is not possible using clay pots. So we need another alternatives as well.
yeah, yeah. So we need alternates, like the stainless steel, alternates like copper. But again, when it comes to copper, you have to wash your copper utensils every single day, no matter what. You wash your copper utensil today and you don't cook tomorrow. Day after, when you have to pick it up and then use it, you have to wash it again and use it. That's how it is. When you have a copper water bottle, wash it every 12 hours or every 24 hours. Most of us, we fail to wash those copper utensils, and what happens? It oxidizes, and the water in it becomes so toxic, which cannot be digested. We can't take it. So the best thing is what you can do is use clay pot. Clay pot is a feasible option, right? So when it comes to giving something to children, it's okay. You can give them a stainless steel container in which you can put some banana leaf and pack your food and then roll it and put it in a steel box.
Right.
Or if you don't have
So
banana leaf, I mean,
this
on
will be a
the
good
south side you
idea.
get plenty, but you may not have banana leaves. Then you can look for alternative leaves. Like in Telangana, we have something called as istaraku, which is made up of a different leaf, right? So it's dried leaf. So you can roll it in that, or you can make use of leaves which has got more width, like the badam, the almond leaf. You can make use of those leaves. If at all you have to pack something nice in it, or you can just pack it in a steel container if you have no option. And earlier when I was in school, Hyderabad, born and raised in Hyderabad, so we had this cosmopolitan culture. So when my friends used to get parathas or roti, they used to get it in a nice cotton, unbleached cotton cloth, where the cotton cloth is not dyed. It is like pale off-white in color, the cloth. It looks like a muslin cloth, and the rotis were, packed in them. And they used to get sabji in a steel box. And that's how they did. And today we pack rotis in a aluminium foil. We pack fruits, in our snack boxes for our children. What do? We take a plastic sheet and start wrapping the cut fruits because we want to prevent them from oxidation. Because when you aerate, if you expose the cut fruit to air, they start, they try to, they become discolored, they try to oxidize, which is not very nice, isn't it? So that's how it is. So some alternatives that we could think of, like, we can make use of clay pots. We can make use of stainless steel. To a certain extent, stainless steel is fine. But when you use copper, ensure that, you wash them on a daily basis. So
Okay,
in
sorry
this
to
way,
interrupt you, Shrikant. We have limited time, so I would
yeah,
like you to know. I would like to ask you, like, what a day in Shrikant's life look like? Like, you are living a completely different lifestyle. So, if you can share your day.
okay. All right. So my day, okay, I hit the bed by 7:30 p.m. By 7:30, which means by 4:30 or 5 in the evening, I finish my dinner.
Oh,
My breakfast, my lunch will be this, and my dinner is this so far.
again.
We've been uh, on fruits for a long time, except for a time when we travel to different places. So maybe we go on OMAD diet, 1 meal a day diet, just in case if we don't get enough fruits available at places where we go. So mostly we are in nature. We are in farms like these. So this is a friend's farm. This is not my farm. I don't have a farm, by the way, but I keep moving between farms. and villages and reserve forests, and we travel as a family. We spend a lot of time, in the nature.
So you are
Looking
completely on a raw vegan plant-based diet. You're not having anything cooked.
mostly fruits. Mostly fruits. I don't make any recipes because the place where I live here, we don't have a kitchen. We don't have a gas stove. We don't have utensils over here. We just have fruits. We get fruits from a nearby farms, and we just consume them, whatever is available. And when fruits are not available, we have some nuts. That's the only alternative. Some nuts, like peanuts. We get some almonds, soak them and eat them, or we give it to a nearby person who can, steam some peanuts and give us to eat. So we eat that. But other which ways, we are mostly on a raw diet on fruits. So we
So
have
how
different.
easy, or I should ask, how difficult is it?
Initially, I used to get irritated with fruits. You have a lot of craving. Like you feel like eating something salty. You feel like you have craving for spicy food. You have craving for sweet food, something sour, something mirch masala. Because you got used
Right.
to that kind of a food, right? So born and raised in Hyderabad, what all dishes are Hyderabad famous for.
Hyderabad
If I
biryani.
could, move towards a complete, a raw diet like this right now. So imagine it is possible for anyone. And even from where you are, very near to Lucknow, Kanpur, those places are also, foodie places, right? All that
I am a big
stuff. So
foodie.
yes, you can make that switch. It was very difficult for me to make that switch, but then later I understood. Earlier, I used to get irritated. I used to have different emotional outbursts, because I used to feel, what is this life? Why am I eating only fruits? But then later I realized, whenever I used to be on fruits, my body used to respond in a different way. Suddenly I eat cooked food. Now I eat cooked food maybe thrice or 4 times in a month, not more than that, maximum. Because whenever my friend, this is my friend's farm, so he visits here once in a week. So when he comes, he gets something, homemade stuff. So it's just that, since he gets that homemade stuff, we tend to eat it with him. So
What about
it so
your
happens that,
son? How do you manage your son to give him only fruits? Like,
so we get different types of fruit, Now I have pomegranate, I have papaya, and I have banana right now. So, and I also have some mangoes, the Neelam. Then there is another type of mango, which is called as Mav, which we are going to get it harvested next month. Can you believe it? Next month. In September, we are going to harvest those mangoes. So almost until September, you get mangoes here. Different types of mangoes. And again, in December, you get totapuri, right? A
no,
different
I'm
mango.
asking,
So yeah,
how about your
seasonal
son?
fruits. We are
How does
mostly on
he manage
seasonal
on fruits
fruits.
completely?
We go on mono diet, mostly on mono diet. So we start with one fruit, and that's the end of it. And if at all we are hungry, we go ahead and eat another fruit. We don't mix fruits. We don't mix sweet and subacid. We don't mix sweet and acid fruits. We don't mix subacid or acid fruits. We just go with one fruit meal, one
That's a
mono
big
diet.
rule of Ayurveda as well, not mixing sweet and sour fruits together.
Yeah, not mixing stuff. Now, fruit contains a lot of minerals. They just get, assimilated by the body pretty easily. And most of the time we are in the sun, out in the sun. We don't to live in the concrete structures. There is a small shed there. If it rains, we sleep inside. Otherwise, we have a cot here. We sleep outside. And this is, yes, you have some wild animal here. A wild cat often visits here, but they are harmless. So this is a
They
kind of
must be your
lifestyle.
friends anyway by now.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Okay, so I
Sorry.
think we should take up some questions.
Yeah.
Are we ready to take up some questions? Because we have limited time on Insta Live.
Okay, yeah. So we have some questions here. Do eating fruits give all kind of nutrients? Absolutely yes, because what are proteins breaking down into, right? Uh, Vitamins, what are those breaking down into? Some fat soluble nutrients, some vitamins. And what are vitamins breaking down into? Amino acids. And what do fruit contain? Amino acids directly. So you're getting your nutrition directly. So your body doesn't have to process it. It doesn't have to break it down. It doesn't have to convert into glucose. And then, your body has to work a lot. When you eat something cooked, it has to break it down and then convert it into glucose, and then the energy is absorbed. So when you eat fruits, they are just assimilated, by the body through something called as cell diffusion. And I have another question here. Oh, many questions. Can we use iron pots for cooking? Yes, you can use iron pots for cooking. How to make probiotics at home? So can we talk about probiotics on a different day? We got to talk about gut microflora. Probably you can get in touch with me. I can share you my number where I can talk about a lot of things. So the idea here is how you make friends with nature is,
it's on Facebook.
Sorry?
Well, we can also watch your probiotic workshop. It's on Facebook already.
Yeah, it's already there on Facebook. I can share the video. And so we just slightly deviated from the topic. Let's make friends with the nature. How do we make friends with the nature? Is just that you be a part of the nature. Try to live in alignment with the nature. Try to eat something natural. Try to wear something natural. Like natural clothing. Because the kind of clothing what we wear is, laid with all synthetic material, polyfibers and all of those, right? They're all plastic. So even if you wear, if you look at the kind of fabrics, which says, 100% cotton, 100% it is not cotton, because we are not largest producers of cotton anymore. We don't produce so much cotton. How on earth can we sell so much clothing in different stores available at different markets? So, that's questionable. So try to, look out, do some research and find someone who's, making these natural, yarns and, spinning natural yarns and then weaving natural clothes, using something natural dye, and wear them. And don't live in natural buildings, don't live in the concrete buildings. Try to figure out if you can live in a natural building, because the kind of toxicities, which are emitted from a artificial paint, whatever European paint or Asian paint or American paint, what we have, right? The toxicities in that paint would remain for 15 years. You'll be inhaling that stuff for 15 years, long years, right? So try to switch over to a more naturalistic lifestyle, a naturalistic environment. So you align yourself with the nature, make friends with the nature, and you live a perfect natural life. You will not need any medical insurance in your life. Trust me. I'm not paying my medical insurance
question
anymore.
Before winding up. Okay, so one basic step to healthy eating is healthy cooking. Can you give some advice on healthy cooking, like alternatives to salt, sugar?
You can avoid these 5 whites, like milk, sugar, wheat, rice, salt. Avoid them and bring in alternatives. Instead of milk, you can get rightly you said plant-based milk. Okay, and avoid sugar. Instead of sugar, you can bring in country sugar, palm jaggery. Now we don't even consume jaggery. We consume dates. I mean, that too on a rarest basis, because fruits have that, the sweet factor. So we are taking fruits, as a replacement for sweet. Now, when it comes to rice, go with millets. Wheat, go with millet flour.
We can even go for red rice, the Kerala red rice.
Red rice, you can go with traditional rice. Unpolished traditional rice is good. Initially, it's fine. But, that is not your survival food. Any grain for that matter, whether it is rice or even millets, they are bird and insect food. They are not meant for humans. What do we mean by food? Food, anything which is consumable, anything which can give you energy instantaneously, and anything which you can eat in its natural available form is food. But no other living being on this earth would ever process their food like how humans process, right? So that's absolutely not food. That's something else.
Sugar. Okay, now salt. What can be the alternative for salt?
Sorry?
What can be the alternative for salt?
Your voice is breaking, I'm sorry. Alternative for?
Can you salt?
Yeah. What is the alternative for?
Salt. Can you hear me?
Yes, now.
I'm asking what can be the alternative for salt?
Can someone type there? I just missed it, I'm sorry.
Okay, one last time. Can we have some alternative for salt?
I don't know, there is some poor network reception over here. I'm not able to hear you. Not really able to hear you. I'll just try. Can you just yeah, alternative for salt.
Yes.
Yeah, biosalt. Biosalt. You can see salt. What we have right now, it's an inorganic compound, and the kind of salt that we are, getting from supermarket is, it's a chemical byproduct. Most of us know, we would have seen a lot of WhatsApp forwards or Facebook posts about them, right? So what is salt and how is it being procured into the market? So the best thing what you can do is you can go with natural salts like Sendha Namak, Himalayan rock salt, or sea salt. But again, when you come to this Himalayan rock salt or sea salt, salt is only needed. These kind of salts is only needed for our tongue, not for our body, because we got so used to the salty taste. That's all. But otherwise, our fruits contain minerals, and minerals are nothing but salts, right? Minerals are salts. So you can get your salts from your fruit. So when you eat your cucumbers, you can feel that salty flavor. So you can get your natural salts. These are all water soluble salts that you get in your fruits, right? So when you talk about these Himalayan rock salt or sea salt, what you can do is you can ferment them. You can make biosalt by fermenting them. You can just take some water. You can take okra slime. All you do is get bindi, chop them into pieces, soak it in water for about after 8 hours. Remove the bindi or okra, and you get a slime. In that slime, you dilute salt and make it a salt solution. Okay, and leave it for 8 days. Let it ferment for 8 days. Just tie a cloth on that glass jar and leave it for about 8 days. After 8 days, you can start using it as a replacement for salt. So this is one method where you can convert the salt from an inorganic compound to a bioavailable, salt. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Srikant. It was very nice talking to you. And do we have some questions?
It would be great if we can have the session in Hindi sometimes. Obviously, Kejriwal 007, we will try to do it in Hindi. My Hindi may not be great. मैं इतना साफ हिंदी बात नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन कोशिश जरूर करूंगा कि मैं हिंदी में बात करने की. ठीक है, I'll try to talk in Hindi. Maybe next time we'll have one session in Hindi.
Definitely.
Yeah, because most of my videos on YouTube are on Tamil. So yes, I will try my level best to speak in Hindi and English. कोशिश जारी है. तो अगले बार जब हम मिलेंगे आपस में तो हिंदी में बात करेंगे, और ढेर सारी practices और ढेर सारी चीज जो हम सीख रहे हैं वो आपसे बांट लेंगे, आपस में बांट लेंगे. All right?
For sure, for sure. So it was a nice session, and I have an announcement to make. Okay, everyone, whoever is watching, so Srikant is a minimalistic person. He has quit his job and everything. He's living on farms, traveling all over the world. So if we can help Srikant by just Paytm a small amount, whatever we feel like, it will be of great help. I will share the Paytm number on this post, and if you can please help us. Thank you so much for the live show, Shrikant.
Thank
It
you
was
so much.
great
And
talking to you.
another announcement that there is no hard and fast rule that you'll have to make some contribution. Even if you don't make a contribution, is absolutely fine. But I think there is a little very small takeaway from this kind of a session. But whatever is the takeaway, try and apply to your life in whatever way it could be possible. And hopefully, if you can, share it amongst your friends or relatives. That itself is, supporting this cause. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Nice meeting
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay in touch.
Sure. Thank you so much. You're welcome.